Cockatoos by Quentin Blake. Professor Dupont had 10 cockatoos. He was very proud of them. Every morning he jumped out of bed. He took a shower and he cleaned his teeth, as he always did. He got dressed and he tied his tie, as he always did. He adjusted his spectacles, as he always did, and he went downstairs. He went into the conservatory. There were all his cockatoos, every single one. Professor Dupont threw wide his arms. He said, "Good morning, my fine feathered friends." Every morning he said the same thing. The day came when the cockatoos thought they would go mad if they had to listen to the same words once again. They decided to have some sport with Professor Dupont. One after another, they escaped through a broken pane of glass they had discovered in a corner of the conservatory. Next morning, Professor Dupont came into the conservatory and threw wide his arms. There was not a cockatoo in sight. Where could all the cockatoos have got to? Professor Dupont went into the dining room. They weren't there. He went to look in the kitchen. Hortense the cook was there, boiling an egg for his breakfast, but there weren't any cockatoos. He went to look in his bedroom. They weren't there. He looked in the bathroom. They weren't there. He looked in the lavatory. They weren't there. He climbed a ladder and flashed his torch around the attic. They weren't there. He even climbed up to the roof. They weren't there. Professor Dupont went to look in the garage. His car was there, but there weren't any cockatoos. He went down into the cellar, but he couldn't see any cockatoos there either. Professor Dupont was at his wits' end. He couldn't find his cockatoos anywhere. Where could they possibly have got to? Professor Dupont spent a restless night. The next morning he jumped out of bed. He took a shower and cleaned his teeth, as he always did. He got dressed and he tied his tie, as he always did. He adjusted his spectacles, as he always did, and he went downstairs. Professor Dupont went into the conservatory. There were all his cockatoos, where they always were, every single one. Professor Dupont threw wide his arms. He said, "Good morning, my fine feathered friends." Some people never learn.